Hi, and welcome to Screams in Focus, a Halloween series from Screens in Focus. I'm Diana, and today we are talking about the many faces of fear. We are going to be talking about haunting TV series and some of our favorite horror movies. And we're also going to talk about some of the trends that we see. And of course, we're going to talk about those zombies. Renee is here to join me. Hi, Renee. How are you?
Hello, I am here and excited and ready to do this episode. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm thrilled. I'm ready. You're ready with your Halloween t-shirt and your earrings and you're just ready. So the closest I get is my Green Day shirt.
It's orange.
Orange.
Perfect.
It's orange. And I got my posters, took out my posters. So we're good.
We're all set.
We're good to go.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to start off with posing our question of the day to our friends out there. And the question is, what series, movie, or scene made you scream? What made you just like scream and scare the heck out of anybody else that was sitting next to you? We want to know. Renee and I are going to answer this later on, but I just want to pose that out to you. And you can share that with us either here on YouTube or on our social media. You can get to that at screensinfocus.com, also in our show notes. Or you can call us at 669-223-8542 and you could be on Screens in Focus. So we would love to hear what made you scream. Okay. So there's so much to cover. This is the fourth episode in our series. So I'm so glad that we're closing with this one. We just have a lot to say. There's so many great horror TV shows and movies out there. We don't get to cover everything, but I thought it would be nice to cover some of the things during this Halloween season. So let's get to it. Renee, I want to talk about TV series first. So I would love to know what had you on the edge of your seat or kept you coming back for more?
One that first popped to mind was the news From series. Season 3 just released and I haven't yet to watch any. I'm waiting to get so excited to see it. But the first 2 seasons were phenomenal. And so, yeah, that one was definitely one that I just never know what's going to happen. And so, yeah, very good. I love that one. And Stranger Things, I don't think there's much, it's just, there's so much going on in that with nostalgia for us 80s kids and for, this and that. And then just the, the special effects and the acting. I mean, these kids, we've watched them grow up and it's just been so much fun. I've rewatched that several times, just kind of as a comfort kind of show in the back, which it sounds horrible. The horror that might say something about me that my comfort show is a horror. Just one of,
Well,
and then I guess it's not really horror, but it's kind of supernaturally is Lost. I have never watched that series. I just heard it.
I love it.
So I just finished season 1. I'm maybe a couple episodes into season 2, and I cannot believe this series. My son's watched it when it came out. He was very young, but he watched it and loved it. And so I'm texting him all the time. Oh my gosh, this happened. Oh, I'm here now. Oh, I'm here now. And I love the series. I'm like, just like The Walking Dead, why did I wait so long to watch this series? So
I'm so thrilled that you're watching it. There's so many things I want to say. Okay, so let's start with Lost because you just brought it up. I watched it back in the day, loved it. I started it again, but what ended up happening is my husband watches it in the room. So every time I come to bed, it's on. And then I leave it on and go to sleep with it. But every time I come into the bedroom, something completely different is happening. And I'm like, wait a minute, because so much happens over all the seasons that I remember the characters for sure, but I don't remember the exact circumstances, what time frame they're in. If this is a flashback or a flash forward or a flash sideways, I'm like, what is happening? So it is really good to watch it in sequential order. So I will say also the last season, the last few episodes, you kind of go off, jump the shark a little. So just know that. Yeah. So you're not deeply disappointed when you get there. Okay.
Right.
But the ride is so good. Mm-hmm. So I love that you're watching it. I'm so excited. I also agree with you on both your series that you watch, because those are both on my list too. I just watched from both seasons. I was totally hooked.
I know.
I was like late at night. It's like 12:30. I got to go to bed. I got to go to work. But no, I'm sitting there watching an episode. And then I want to watch another. I'm like, okay, let me just watch 5 minutes of the next one to see what happens. So it's so good.
It's so good.
It's so good. And I tried to watch season 3, but I guess I need to do a trial of MGM. I'm not going to do it. So I'm going to wait.
Rats, yeah.
I'm going to wait and see, because I watched this on Prime. You can't watch the first 2 seasons on Prime. But I don't know if there's a time lapse and when I'll be able to watch the third. So I have to wait. But I did get my husband started on it now. So now he's watching it separate from me, because I didn't think he'd watch it, but he is. So I'm glad. And then Stranger Things, that's on my list too. I am a super huge fan of Stranger Things, because I think it is multiple genres. Because yes, it's horror. Yes, it's science fiction. Yes, it's coming of age. Yes, it's all these other things. So, and that's why I love it. I love the 80s nostalgia. I love watching these kids grow up. I love that these kids are so smart. That they're able to figure out things. I love the sci-fi aspect of it. I love the upside down, just the everything, the demi dogs and the demi gorgons and everybody else. So good. So I just love it all. I also wanted to bring up The Servant, and that's on Apple TV. And it's from M. Night Shyamalan as a showrunner, I think, or executive producer, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But anyway, yeah, it's a Philadelphia couple who suffer grief, and they welcome this nanny in, and all these strange happenings begin to occur. It's so, I don't even know how to describe it.
Yeah,
but I hooked, and I watched it as it would come out, and I had to wait for each season to come out. And it's so good. I highly recommend it. It is over now. All the seasons are out. Can't remember if it's 4 or 5 seasons, but it is so good. Rupert Grint is in it as the brother of the mom, the wife in this series. So I just really, really love that. And also, I did want to bring up The Bates Motel. It's on Netflix. It's a Psycho prequel, and it is so well done. It's so good. And I've already told Renee that she has to watch it. So, yeah. So it's one of those ones. It's a great thing to watch, because it's really spooky. It's like creepy, spooky. And this relationship that the mom and the son have, you're like, what is happening? So it's very, very intriguing. It's not super like blood and guts or anything like that. So you don't have to worry about that. It's just very bizarre and good. And you're like, what's going to happen? So highly recommend it. All right, let's shift into horror movies. There's so many. We've done so many in our series so far. But with this, I want to know what horror really stands out to you. And maybe there's a specific theme or genre or subgenre, because there's so many subgenres in horror. Or maybe it's a director, or maybe it's a story. I mean, what is it? Like, what's a couple of your favorites and why?
So Halloween, the original Halloween I always say that's my favorite Halloween movie or horror movie, just because it's just classic. It's just this, and I know, you can pick it apart if you want. You can do it with any movie, but it's just, you got to consider the era that it came out. You got to consider, it's kind of a pioneer in that slasher genre, but I just love it. I just think it's good, even though I know it's ridiculous. And I know we always ask all these questions as we're watching it. Like, how did he learn how to drive? And all these dumb things. But it's such a good movie. And so that's always going to be my answer when someone says, what's your favorite horror movie? Absolutely. Yeah. Halloween, the original. Yeah. So I just love that one. And there's not any real specific reason other than it's just good.
Yeah.
And the whole Scream franchise, I love it. I think it kind of resurged the slasher genre, which is just being an 80s kid. We grew up 70s, 80s. That's what we always watched. That's what was always out there. I remember, watching My Bloody Valentine. Either,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
just loved that one, But so but the Scream franchise to me, yeah, there's again hit and miss with some of the movies, but overall, it's a great horror franchise, slasher horror. It's self-aware and it's that kind of stuff. So that's another one. And one other one that's a little different, which a lot of people may not have watched. There's a trilogy of films on Netflix based on the Fear Street stories. Is that R.L. Stein, I believe, I think that's the right author, and they are told in reverse order. So there's 3 films, and so one's like I want to say 94, 78, and then like 1666. And so it has to do with this curse that's been put on the town. And again, coming of age kind of thing, but a slasher type movie following this group of kids and how they're trying to figure out what's happened with this curse that's, kept them, and ends up going clear back to the witch trials kind of era and stuff. And it just was a different horror movie series that I really enjoyed it. So those are the ones I had for that list.
There's so many. Oh, there's so many great ones. As you're saying, I'm thinking, oh yeah, this. Oh yeah, that. We haven't even mentioned that.
Yeah.
Ooh, we've done four series of these, and I still haven't mentioned some of the great ones that I love. But one at the very top of my list that I absolutely love is I Am Legend. I love that movie. There's just something about it. I love it's post-apocalyptic. It's Will Smith on his own with a dog. How does he survive? He's trying to figure out, what to do. It's something about survival. And so that is just one of them that just really sticks with me that I really love. Mm-hmm. I had heard there's rumblings of doing another one, but then it kind of goes in and out. So I don't know if they'll make another one. I don't know if I want to. Mm-hmm. I do, and then I don't. Yeah. So I don't know. A Quiet Place, day one. We had talked about in our series for Iconic Women, we talked about Lupita Nyong'o in this. And I just think she's really good in this, but the movie itself is so good. I love seeing how the apocalypse came to be, not came to be, but how they experienced it firsthand, just like we saw it on Fear the Walking Dead with Walking Dead. So anyway, and again, another post-apocalyptic movie. It's so good. And one of the reasons I think it's really good is it ties in emotional friendship, being kind to one another, and then also with fear of something happening. And then, because I've talked about all of these in previous episodes here, but Nope is one of my all-time favorite horror movies. Carrie is one of my all-time favorite classic movies. And Aliens is one of my favorite movies with the Scream Queen that I love. So I have to mention those. But in looking at all those, I was trying to figure out what's my theme. What is it that I love about these movies? And what it is one, a lot of them are post-apocalyptic settings in a way, or sci-fi or something. And I like when horror and sci-fi, I guess, collide with each other. But for me, it has to have emotional connections. I can't just watch action. I have to want to root for somebody. And why? Why do I root for them? Because they're a good person, or they have a brother, or they have a sister, or whatever it is, boyfriend, girlfriend, or husband, wife, or friends, whatever it is, strangers who become friends. It could be any, but I have to have that. Now, I also like if you are to add any, cultural impact there might be, if that's added in there, I'm all for it. And so I just love the mix of all those. So sci-fi with horror, with cultural aspects, and then emotion. So more of those, please, because that's what I want to see. Okay, I want to also talk about, I've noticed, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I feel like there's a trend with big actors that are already established, and they're now seem to be doing more horror films. So one is Hugh Grant in Heretic. Yep. I'm really excited to see that. I don't think that comes out until maybe November.
Yeah, I was going to say later in the year, but I can't remember.
Yeah, but it looks so creepy. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then James McAvoy is in Speak No Evil. And then Halle Berry is in Never Let Go. So we see all these actors, big actors doing this.
Yeah,
So
it's interesting.
yeah, it's very interesting.
I think
Did you have
that it's a, you know, I mean, horror is huge even throughout the year. You don't have to do it just in Halloween. You know, I mean, people, they're releasing horror all the time and they're always finding a new spin on it, you know, and so it's fun.
Yeah.
He's like a Hugh Grant, you know, you see him in romantic comedies all the time, you know, so
Yeah.
to see him in this, just the trailer, it's like, that is not Hugh Grant. You know, I mean, it's just, I'm very excited to see that, you know, and yeah, so yeah, it's a fun trend. I like it because it's fun to see them outside their normal, what we usually see them in.
Well, also, it probably is because the horror films and TV shows are becoming, like I said, more character driven
Yeah.
and more emotion. So, of course, they're like, hey, this is a good movie. They're not reading, what the genre is. And if the script speaks to them, then they're going to do it. So I just think that that's amazing. Although it was kind of nice because before you used to watch a horror film and not know anybody, and then people would, like Jamie Lee Curtis did, right? When she first did her first Halloween. So it'll be fun to see new people emerge. All right. So in speaking about horror, we must at least mention The Walking Dead and its spinoffs because both Renee and I love this series, this franchise, this whole world. And so it's had a big impact on other movies and TV shows. So what do you think about, what do you want to bring up about horror and zombies?
Well, I think it's just always interesting topic to people because, and especially the beginning of that, that's why people have liked, you know, the beginnings of like Fear the Walking Dead, or, you know, even in The Last of Us, we got some, you know, some early story, you know, that kind of stuff. So I think the genre itself is interesting to people because it's always like, it wouldn't necessarily just have to be this. It could happen several ways. It could happen, the infected could react. We have no idea what would happen if this is something, a virus that actually attacked people or whatever it ends up being. There's just, I mean, it's just easy to me. It's like easy to build a story on because you can just make up whatever you can. Like, I think people forget a lot of times that The Walking Dead, in that world, zombies don't exist. That lore, everything that does not exist in that world. That's why no one knew to shoot him in the head, you know? So Robert Kirkman, he wrote his completely different in that respect because it wasn't like they went in knowing, okay, we've heard of these things before, you know? This is like brand new. And that's why everybody was like, they had no clue what to do. So The Walking Dead really paved the way for a lot of these shows, but there, you know, Walking Dead has the slow moving ones, things like that. And then you got other ones that there's fast ones, there's this one, there's, you know, all the different ones. So I just feel like The Walking Dead was just such a, you know, a stepping stone for so many other movies and series and stories in the genre. It ran for 12 years. That series ran. You can't not expect some lows in those highs and lows. You know, and overall it was fabulous. And they've been doing such a great job with these direct spinoffs. I really enjoyed them, and I was very negative. Daryl's my favorite. I was very negative about that Daryl Dixon series. I was like, and now I love it. You know, like great. I'm so glad they did it so well. And so, yeah. But overall, I just feel like it. You know, with The Walking Dead specifically, it's again those stories like you're talking about. We are invested in these lives.
Yeah.
You know, sure, the walkers are a big, you know, thing because they're constantly trying to eat them, but it's their stories and it's that emotional connection, like you said. And I just love it.
I just wanted to add, because you've said it perfectly. I did want to add that kind of based on what I was saying, what I love so much is the emotional connection. And that's what we have in this series. And that's what this whole series brought, because if you watched Night of the Living Dead or any of those, right, which are fantastic films in their own right, they're very horror, you know, it's horror. And to be honest, I didn't like zombies. I didn't want to watch anything. I'm like, I don't want to watch people eating other people. I don't want to watch it. And I didn't. So when this was coming out, I wasn't excited about it. My husband's all, I want to watch it because of course he did love zombies. So I sat down. I'm like, okay. So I watched it. And I'm like, all right. I mulled it over. But then he kept watching it, and I kept like looking the TV walking by. I'm like, what's happening over there? What's happening over there? And I'm like, okay, I got to watch this.
Yeah.
So I was immediately hooked, but it was because of the characters. You can't help it. You get invested with these characters, their relationships, the stories, and then it goes from there. And so I think that's what has helped change so much of horror in what we see. And so I just think that that's amazing. And I did want to bring up, because we are talking about horror. Of course, it's all horror. It's all zombies. It's all everything. But the one episode that I wanted to bring up that was in the whole 11 seasons was the one entitled On the Inside. And it is from season 11, episode 6. And it is with Connie.
Yeah.
And she is she's hearing impaired. And she goes into this house and she can't hear.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can imagine, if you haven't seen this, you can imagine what that would be like if you can't hear. And there's these people living in this house that you're not really sure who they are. And they're up on like armoires and all kinds of things. And they kind of like scurry around the floor. And you're like, what is happening? And they're peeking at you through these holes. And to see it from her perspective, because it was directed with her parts of it without hearing anything. And you can only see what she sees. And I thought, this is a horror within a horror.
Yeah.
So I thought that was simply amazing.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite episodes of The Walking Dead. It has all the horror elements that you need there. And I love the fact that we saw it from her perspective. I can't imagine being hearing impaired and in that situation. I mean, bad enough just the world around you all every day trying to acclimate. Yeah. But in that situation, I mean, these people we find out are ferals. They are, like they're just living in the walls of this house. And it was so good. And they based it, if you read the director and, Greg Nicotero and all this, and they based it on a lot of great horror movies, the elements and things like that. So
you can tell.
A great one to bring up because it was phenomenal.
Yeah. And now it's mainstream. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
So now they are doing other ones like Daryl Dixon and Dead City, which are spinoffs. If people don't know, they're spinoffs of The Walking Dead that are currently out there that we cover. So make sure you check those out. But from that, we have also seen The Last of Us, which was based on a video game and is now a series on Max. One season is out. So that's a fantastic series too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really well done.
I did have to bring up Night of the Living Dead, which I brought it up already. George Romero. I mean, he's the one who's kind of started it all, and everybody is, taking it from there. But it's interesting because I went back and, because I was trying to do a little homework on all of this, and it's funny, but when you watch a horror movie that was made decades and decades previous, you don't know everything that went into that movie because you're only seeing it now. Well, if you think about that movie, it was saying a lot about race at that time. Mm-hmm. I had no idea when I watched it, the statements it was making. So it's like every movie made, every filmmaker, they're just not just making it. They have something to say. And so it's just kind of cool learning that information. So no matter how old a movie is, it'd be nice to go back and listen or read about where it stems from. And I just wanted to quickly mention World War Z. Mm-hmm. Right. The zombies. I can't even imagine. No. And that leads me to Train to Busan, which I didn't watch it right when it first came out. I watched it a little while later. Holy crap. I think that actually is one great movie. Mm-hmm. Like it is in subtitles, but I think it is so well done and so well made and so scary. So scary. Is there any other series you want to bring up?
Not series, but one movie
or movies.
Just a zombie, funny one is Shaun of the Dead, which is a comedy, and it's just, oh my gosh, just hilarious. It's so funny, and it's Simon Pegg, and just if you haven't watched it, it's a funny, it's just a good horror, but on the very, very comedic, more like probably even more so than Zombieland or something like that. But yeah, it was really good. So I just like to mention that one because it's hilarious.
Yeah. All right. Since we're talking about funny and comedy, I would love to know what your favorite comedy family horror movie is. And then I want you to, we're going to share in a few minutes, we're going to share our least favorite horror.
Right.
So right now, what is your favorite comedy?
So I think Zombieland is my favorite. Like, well, I suppose between Shaun of the Dead and Zombieland, those are just really good comedy horrors. There's so many of them, you know. But the family one, the family kind of one, I love, like the Addams Family, whether it's the show, the movies, or even those newer animated ones. I don't know if you've seen those. They are so cute. I love them. And so like that, I've always loved that. I remember being a kid and watching it on TV, you know, and stuff. And so, you know, after school or something morning, I don't know what it was, but yeah. So that, I think the Addams Family is just a really good, it's a very fun family, you know, horror and not too scary for the kids kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. So I have on my list, I have Beetlejuice, because I just recently saw it, loved it. It was so good. I also saw the original, so both are so good. So I think anybody can watch this. Yes, it is a little bit scary. So I wouldn't say for little kids, but you know, if you're a teenager or whatever, you could totally watch this. It's just so good. It's so good. I love it. Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah,
hilarious. Everybody can go watch Ghostbusters. It's so good. Sigourney Weaver is in that. So along with so many comedic geniuses are in that. And then I have Addams Family in mind too, because I do think it's a really easy one to watch as a family. Something I watched as a kid that I still love to this day is Young Frankenstein, and anybody could watch that. It's so funny. It's so well done. Love Gene Wilder. And Little Shop of Horrors is so good. So, I love the music in it. I love the characters in it. This alien plant comes and wants to eat everybody, wants to be fed. Feed me. So it's so well done. If you haven't seen it, or if you have, go watch it again.
Yeah.
And then, okay. So now I would love to know, Renee, I did have this segment entitled, What is the Worst Horror Film? But I want to give people credit. So I want to say, what is your least favorite horror movie?
Yes. So I did not like the Babadook. Everyone tells me I have to rewatch it and pay more attention or something. So I will, because I love horror and I give it chances, you know. I did not like that movie. I don't know. I was bored. I just didn't, must have not been the right mood, but that's one I just, nope, don't like it. And then you and I have the same one listed. So I'll let you say it because it's horrible.
Yeah. So it is Sleepaway Camp. So, and what's so interesting is I have recently Googled this, and it's like, oh, it has a cult following. I'm like, what? What are you talking about?
I'm to cons now and gets everything. They have shirts with that face on it, and it's horrible.
Because I saw this back when it was first.
We watched it last year, I want to say, again, just because you kind of forget how horrible.
Maybe you thought, oh, maybe this will be funny now because I know what's going to happen. I don't know. But yeah, when they show that end scene, it's wrong too. It's wrong and it's not good. And it's they didn't have a budget for their horror film. So, but I did recently watch another one, and it's considered a experimental. And it was funny because my son and his girlfriend said, "Oh, do you want to watch this horror? It's got some some not critical, but some praise, blah, blah, blah." Okay. Put it on. I was bored to death. Bored. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to the filmmaker, because I know it was your vision and there are people that really appreciate it, but it's called Skinamarink. Have you seen this, Renee?
No, because my family watched it. They're like, don't watch it. You will not like it. So I just didn't bother. Sorry. My family liked it. So whoever made it, you know, at least you got that.
They like it?
They're weird. They're so weird. Yeah.
We got to have a talk.
Yeah.
We got to have a talk.
So I just.
Okay.
didn't.
So what's funny is, okay, so my son and his girlfriend were okay with it. I was like, you wasted seriously, I never say that. But I'm like, you wasted my time. We could have watched something more enjoyable. It's, it's these two kids. Their dad is not there, and they wake up and all their windows and doors are gone. But it's not like what you think. It's not a clear picture. Everything is like you're watching it through darkness, right? So it's not even like during the daylight and the kids are running up. No, you don't even see the kids. You barely see anybody. All you're seeing is like the point of view, like the camera. That's what I remember from it. I'm like, why do I want to watch 90 minutes of following this camera around and hearing a phone ring and not finding a door and a window? I don't know. Anyway, so if people like it, that's great. And I don't know. You're gonna have to tell me why you like it. What am I missing?
Yeah, and maybe there's something. Yeah.
Yeah, what are we missing with Skinamarink and Sleepaway Camp? But for me and Renee, that's okay. We'll pass.
Yep, there's plenty of
pass.
Yep, there's lots of other.
Yeah, there's lots of other ones. All right. So we're going to get to our question of the day, which is, what series, movie, or scene made you scream? So Renee, what made you scream?
So I was thinking, like, I know there's been movies, and then all of a sudden it was one that was more recent. Did you watch It Follows?
Yes, that's the one about. Isn't that the one about the people having sex?
Yeah, that's how they.
Yeah,
and so
okay.
I thought it was a good movie. I mean, when I first read that, I was like, okay, but it actually, but there's a scene where this tall man enters, and I don't know why that scared the crap out of me. He's really tall, comes down, and Lou has to bend at a door, and it just freaked me the crap out. And I mean, I don't get real freaked out about a lot of movies, but I don't know what about that scene. I wasn't paying enough attention in that moment, and it just scared the crap out of me.
That's good.
Yeah,
I
know. I love it when they surprise me,
Yeah.
So yeah, it was great.
So it was hard to come up with a movie that I remember specifically screaming at, because I probably scream all the time. I just don't recall.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many movies out there that make me scream. I think The Conjuring probably made me scream. But I wanted to go way back, because I will say, when I watched Carrie, and the very end, and I hate to give anything away, so I'm not going to specifically say it, but at the very end, Amy Irving is bringing some flowers and this music is playing. Do you know what I'm talking about, Renee? And that part, yeah, I screamed, because I was not expecting it at all. And I was like, what's happening? I also want to share that music played in Beetlejuice. Did you notice that?
No.
At the very end of Beetlejuice, it was the same song. Because I said it when I was at the theater. I'm like, that's the Carrie song. And so I thought it was funny that they used that song in that movie. But
I did not notice that.
And I do also want to add that The Walking Dead, I scream all the time. I mean, I scream loud, like, yeah, because I think somebody's going to get bit, and I've scared my husband, and my boys come out of their rooms. So like, what's happening? And I'm like screaming, because the zombies are going to get them. And sometimes they don't get them. Sometimes they do get them. And I am screaming, not all the time. It's usually probably when they're almost about to get somebody, one of our people, and I think, oh my gosh, I think they're almost going to, like what I thought when they were almost going to get Carl in season 4 to 5, when he was walking out without his dad and we're coming up behind him. And when Glenn is underneath the dumpster. Holy shoot. I was screaming screaming then. And then when we saw The Ones Who Live, when we weren't sure what was happening with Rick with the grenades and everything, I know I screamed then too. So there's a lot of Walking Dead screams. So that would be mine.
Yeah.
So
I have a quick fun thing to share with you about The Walking Dead. A friend of mine just started watching it for the first time ever, very recently. So I get
mine too.
That's crazy. It's been so much fun seeing it through someone's fresh eyes. She's constantly asking me, "Oh my gosh!" And then Then she told me Glenn was her favorite, and I was like, "Oh no."
You can't say
Yeah.
anything. You're like,
Yep.
yeah, mine too. Mine too.
She's gotten there already. She's past you. Yeah. So anyway, but anyways, it's just been fun to witness this through someone's fresh eyes this far out of being over and everything, and it's phenomenal. It's like I told her I'm so jealous you're watching this for the first
Yes. But I love it too
time.
because they are so excited and then they share something with you. It was so funny because I got an email because I work with this person, and when she said Glenn, Rick, and I'm like, who's Glenn and Rick? Because I'm thinking work, right? Because I'm like, who is she talking about at the whatever she's saying? And then she said Herschel, and all of a sudden it
Oh,
dawned on me because not that many people have
yeah,
Herschel, right,
yeah.
as a name. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, she's emailing me about The Walking Dead. This is so exciting. Or maybe she texts me. I'm not even sure. But now she texts me. Now she talks to me. She's only on season 2.
Oh.
So she's taking it slowly with her husband,
She's
which is
barreling
great.
through. My friend's barreling through. Like I can't remember the last. I know Glenn was one of the last things recently that she messaged. So she's past
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I love it. So if any of you out there have not seen it, tune in
you can
because
text me and
you're
tell me about
missing.
it.
Would love to know.
We'll get excited with you.
Yeah. All right. So, man, those are some great ones. So please share what yours favorite one is. Okay, we are going to get to our Fresh Scream segment. We're going to share the latest TV and movies and what we are anticipating that is coming to theaters or on TV. So, Renee, what do you have for us?
Well, I sort of recent Abigail. It's a vampire one, but it's crazy. It's there's a little girl involved, and whenever there's a little kid, it's just ups the creepy so much. But it was very good. I really enjoyed it. It was, not, I won't say it's like, top 10 vampire movie you've ever seen, but it was very, very good and well done, and enough scares and things. So yeah, I recommend it. Yeah.
I haven't seen that one yet,
Yeah.
so I might have to tune in.
Yeah.
What I have is I watched this at the theaters, and it is Speak No Evil with James McAvoy. And I knew it wasn't going to be as much of a horror, like super scary. I knew it was going to be a little bit more maybe thriller, suspense, which is what it was. And it's actually kind of a little bit funny commentary in the background. It's not supposed to be funny, but you kind of snicker a little bit because of what you see.
Mm-hmm.
But I had forgot that James McAvoy was in Split too. So here he is with 2 different horror movies. But man, he's kind of scary. He's kind of scary. And it was a good movie. I really enjoyed it. It's about a family. James McAvoy has a family, and this other couple have a daughter, and they're having marital issues, and they meet James McAvoy and his family in Italy, and McAvoy character invites them to come to their place for a weekend, and it just goes from there. Their experience of going to this place and what happens to them. So it was pretty good. I did enjoy it. So I'd recommend it. I did want to mention American Horror Story. There's 4 episodes that's called Huluween event series, and it's set for October 26th on Hulu. So that'll be kind of nice to have a 4 episode, just kind of like Screams and Focus has 4 episodes. That, this will be out there. So it'll be something I look forward to watching. All right. That's what we have, right, Renee? Is there anything else, or are we good?
I think we're good.
Yeah, we're good. We have a lot.
Yes.
So, friends out there, we want to know your Halloween watch list. We hope you have enjoyed this whole series of ours. So it was fun to talk with Renee on horror TV shows and movies, and also a previous episode, The Iconic Women. And also Sam joined me in talking about then versus now. And she also talked about Mike Flanagan, which you and I didn't even talk about. That's what I wanted to bring up to you. Sorry, got to bring one more thing up. Mike Flanagan World. So we talked about that. Have you seen The Haunting of Hill House?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we talk a lot about that. And that is one that made me scream. That's what I wanted to bring up to you. It's like, I screamed in that one. The bent neck lady and all of that, the 2 storms. Oh, so good. So That's another one, or go check out that podcast episode. So anyway, I want to thank you, Renee, for joining me. Thank you so much for being a part of this series.
Yes, thank you for including me. I always enjoy our conversations, and especially horror related stuff anytime.
Yeah, I love it. And be sure to tune into Daryl Dixon season 2 that we are covering currently. So you can find all of that at Screens in Focus, and that is in our show notes, or you can go to screensinfocus.com. All right. I want to thank you for joining us today, and we hope something that we said today resonated with you, gave you a smile, maybe the heebie-jeebies, and you can find everything in our show notes or at screensinfocus.com. You can reach us on our Google Voice at 669-223-8542. And just remember to keep watching, keep exploring, and keep those screens in focus. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.